Sports Talk in the Burgh for our final show of the semester. I am your host, Sam Dutch, and tonight I'm joined by Nate Breisinger, Austin Bechtold, and John Hanna, ready to talk all things sports. Let's start off tonight with the Steelers. They are now 9-0. Who on their schedule can beat them? Nate, we'll kick it off with you.
Thanks, Sam. The Steelers are continuing their hot start on the season, remaining undefeated, going 9-0. But if there's a team that they're going to lose to, it's the last game of the year versus the Cleveland Browns. I know they already crushed them earlier in the season, but the Browns, I think, have a lot of things to improve on. And this is a team that, coming down to the wire in the season, they're going to be fighting for the playoffs.
So you think, Nate, that they're going to go into the Browns game 15-0?
Yes, I believe that.
I think they're losing to Buffalo. You know why?
Ooh.
Josh Allen. Say what you want about him. He is arguably the best quarterback that the Steelers are going to face this year.
That's fair.
Deshaun Watson, Lamar's been having a down year. Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill, really? So I think
Tannehill led them to the playoffs.
Henry led them to the playoffs.
Tannehill led them to the AFC Championship game last year. He was still the quarterback. All right, you got to give Tannehill some credit.
He was the quarterback. Congratulations. I can be the quarterback of the Titans if I'm just going to hand it off to Derrick Henry all the time. But Josh Allen, 68.4 completion percentage, 2,871 yards, 21 touchdowns, 7 picks on the year. These are an upgrade from last year, and he's only developed his game. He's going to be tough for this Steelers secondary to stop, and this linebacking core, because Josh Allen, he can run the ball too.
He can. They lost on a Hail Mary, though, to Arizona. Don't think their confidence is really going to be there. Maybe not at that point.
This week.
And also with Miami's starting to catch them, so I think they're going to start to feel the heat. But I think the Cincinnati Bengals, it might be,
a little bit of
the Bengals are 2-5-1. There's no way.
It's 36-10 because when the Steelers play primetime games, especially on Monday Night Football against Cincinnati, even though it was 36-10 at home in Pittsburgh, the Bengals, those games are close. Those games come down to 3-point games, and especially with Joe Burrow being as good of a quarterback as he was. He didn't look like it at home against the Steelers in the Steelers home game. But Joe Burrow has the potential. He has the talent.
I'm not arguing that Joe Burrow's a good quarterback. I'm just arguing, is that defense going to be able to stop, Ben, Claypool, that put up 36 points on him?
They struggle on the road at Cincinnati. They do. The Steelers just struggle in Cincinnati all the time. I would not be surprised, especially with how good Burrow is. Kind of surprising people this year. It could happen. Watch out for Cincinnati.
All of the Steelers players play a role in the team's success, but which player do you think is the most responsible for their success? Austin, what do you think?
Well, I don't even think that there's any doubt. For me, it's obviously quarterback Ben Roethlisberger coming off of last year's.
You
didn't even let me.
Hodges and
Duck Hodges
and Mason Rudolph were so bad. It makes Ben Roethlisberger.
And that's why it's so much of a difference in putting Ben in there. That's why it's such a big difference.
If you look at the numbers, he's 15th in yards, tied for 17th in completion percentage, 20th in QBR,
he's fifth in touchdowns with 22. He only has thrown 4 interceptions.
That's only
more than Josh Allen has thrown.
Congratulations, but if you look at the defense, I think it's T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt tied for 2nd in sacks behind Myles Garrett and tied with Aaron Donald.
Well, what about this, John? The defense last year is what carried them to an 8-8 record with a terrible quarterback.
Exactly.
Now with Ben back, this is the reason why the Steelers are 9-0. If either Mason Rudolph or Duck Hodges was the quarterback this season, they find a way to lose the game against Denver. They find a way to lose the Dallas game. Down 10 to the Ravens. They don't win those games without Roethlisberger. He's no doubt the difference.
I agree. There's no way the Steelers are 9-0 without Ben. Last year, the Steelers only threw 18 touchdowns. They're at 22 with only 9 games played. This team is far much better with Ben there, and that's why he's the guy most responsible for the team's success so far.
And Ben has taken care of the ball significantly. The last 3 games he's thrown no interceptions. He's thrown 4 on the season, and 3 of them were against Tennessee. One was at the end of the half where he was throwing a Hail Mary to the end zone, and another was a batted ball that was deflected and intercepted by Tennessee. He's been keeping the ball on the side of the Steelers, not giving it away at all. And with the Steelers taking it away as often as they do, the kind of success that Roethlisberger is having is what's leading to the success. It's no doubt in my mind.
So it's obvious with these players and all the rest that the Steelers have been having a lot of success this season. Should they be considered the best team in the league, or has their schedule been easy? John, we'll go to you.
I think it's both. It can be both, and it is both. Obviously, the old adage, you can only play the teams on the schedule. Combined teams have a 33-47-2 record, 20 in the remaining, the 21st hardest schedule remaining. However, they've been able to beat these teams.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a combination of both. Obviously, they haven't had the hardest schedule to play against, but, you know, defense 6th ranked. Like, I know you said that Ben's carrying the team, but this defense is still one of the top units in the league.
No doubt.
3rd lowest points in the game, 36 sacks, which is 1st. Offense, 24th ranked.
Yeah,
It's not going to win you games, but it's certainly not going to lose
Well,
you.
as
I don't
much as
care
I
who-
love the team, I still think Kansas City's better. Just overall, I think their roster just stacks up a little bit better. I like the Steelers' depth on defensive side of the ball better than I like Kansas City's. But everyone's healthy for Kansas City. Everyone is playing phenomenal, and their defense is just different this year. Just the look of them, how they play, the confidence is definitely there. And if the Steelers play the Chiefs at the moment, it's going to depend on where you're playing the game.
It's a close game.
I
think
disagree
those are
with-
definitely 1A and 1B for the top 2.
I disagree with the fact that Kansas City should be looked at the best team because a win is a win, and the Steelers have won 9 straight, and they're the only undefeated team left. And this defense really has shined once again as they were last year. Number 1 in takeaways with 17. This team continues to stop the run. They're also 5th best in the league in offense at points scored, 30.1 points per game. So this team all around on both sides of the ball, and even their special teams has coming through with Ray McLeod starting to kick in, with some of those returns, really helping their field position. This team overall, I think, is the best.
I just think the dynamic way that the Chiefs play offense, even with Roethlisberger back, is just overall better than the Steelers do. Now, I still think that the Steelers defense, with who I think is the defensive player of the year, T.J. Watt, as you mentioned, is your key
TJ
player.
Watt has been
John.
just phenomenal this year.
I think there's no doubt that the Steelers defense is better than Kansas City's defense. It's going to come down to can Ben even manage the game in the playoffs to be able to guide the Steelers to a victory.
And I know you mentioned how good he is, but his injuries, because he took that shot a couple weeks
He's been
ago.
healthy this year, though. All 9 games he's played.
Knock on wood.
Now let's
Correct.
look to Antonio Brown, who before his Tampa signing broke the security camera and threw a bike in a gated community. Should the Buccaneers be worried, and should he continue to get chances? Austin, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, guys, I think the Buccaneers obviously knew what they were getting themselves into. They had to know, with AB's antics throughout the years, that something was likely, or possibly, whatever way you want to put it, that something was going to come up in another allegation or anything. Even it seems like this is true
If you look
for
at
AB, that's going to make him potentially miss time.
The sexual misconduct allegedly. He tweeted that he would no longer play.
Yeah.
He turned himself into jail where he was charged with battery, burglary, and an unoccupied conveyance and criminal mischief at the start of the year. He was suspended 8 games for violating a personal conduct policy.
Why he wasn't signed until around week 6, 7.
Around the league, he's burned bridges. Pittsburgh, Buffalo for that day and a half he was there.
Kinda.
Oakland, New England, Tampa Bay. He's burned all those bridges.
Yeah,
so I don't see him getting another chance.
Some things never change with this guy. I mean, we've seen the workouts he's done and seen some of the stats he's put up so far with the Bucs. Yes, he can play on the field, but it comes down to what happens off the field. And I know a lot of people in sports, they look at players and just say, hey, forget what happens off the field. But this guy continually does things that he's not supposed to, and it gets himself into trouble, and that's why he burns so many bridges, and he burns bridges with teams, he has a chance with and has a chance to be a star with. So it doesn't make sense, and I think just some things are just going to be the same.
He's still on the roster, and it seems like he's still going to be playing. Tampa Bay, like I said, knew what they were getting themselves into. They made their bed, and now they got to lay in it with AB and kind of just play it out.
Now on to the NHL. They recently released reversed retro jerseys. Which team do you think has the best jersey, and what do you think of the Pens threads? John, what are your opinions?
Well, for the best team, it's Florida. They brought back their, essentially their inaugural jerseys, blue with red and gold trim. First blue jersey they've had since 2012 when they had a double blue alternate, which I thought was one of the better looking alternates in the league. Obviously, management in Florida didn't think so, got rid of it. And the shoulder logo they have, the palm tree hockey stick, is one of the best in,
It's pretty cool.
in hockey. And in terms of the Penguins, it's decent.
It's boring. The Penguins is kind of boring.
You know what it needs?
I disagree with that.
does it need?
I
It
think
needs
they're
the
pretty
rope.
cool.
It has the current skating penguin. It needs the flying robo penguin that was originally on those 90 jerseys that Snoop Dogg wore in that.
And the gin and juice.
Yeah, the
music
Penguins
video,
is just
come on.
fine. I mean, I get it, the fact that you want a classic jersey, the legacy jersey, as many people are calling it, with Yager and Lemieux wore the same jersey in the black style. I don't know. My favorite is the Carolina Hurricanes, bringing back the old Hartford Whalers.
I think
the Hartford Whalers should
Carolina.
have stayed. They're cool jerseys.
They should have stayed.
They
so
should have
they
stayed.
shouldn't have moved to Carolina. They shouldn't even have those back.
Well, here's the thing.
Carolina
I don't think
and Colorado ripped the hearts out of Quebec
Right.
City and
I don't
Hartford,
think that
and now
they
we're
should
using
be-
them to make money.
Right, I don't think they should be allowed to use those jerseys, but the fact that you can bring those back from the dead, I think are kind of cool to be
I
able
don't
to
think
see
you should
back
be
on the
using
ice.
those.
Well,
though.
they shouldn't have been dead in the
think you
first
should be
place.
using those
Yeah,
jerseys
I agree
at
with
all.
that.
But with the Pens, it's reverse retro. So I like the white idea. I've always liked white jerseys better than black. And I just
What are you
like
supposed to do with the Golden
prospect
Knights
for-
reverse retro? They don't have a retro
You know what
jersey.
they did? They used the International Hockey League's Las Vegas Thunder, which was a team in the 90s.
Yeah.
They used their jerseys, and also Penguins should have brought back blue jerseys. I'm just saying that.
That's a possibility.
Thanks, guys. Coming up after the break, we have more sports for you, dealing with all things basketball, hockey, and football. Stick with us here at Sports Talk in the Burgh. Chance high five. All right.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother and... I am totally a hot person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
STEM is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Let's get right to it. Football coaches Jim Harbaugh and James Franklin are both in the hot seat. Do they both deserve to get fired? Nate, let's go to you first.
There's a good chance that both of these guys could be let go at the end of the season or during the season. I mean, James Franklin with Penn State, 0-4. Jim Harbaugh, 1-3 with Michigan. Both teams that were expected to be up there in the Big Ten Conference, especially Penn State, ranked 8th in the preseason poll. This guy has a chance to go, and this team could potentially be worse than 4-4. I think he can
that,
go.
but you have to look at the money. If they fire James
They
Franklin
just paid
right now,
him.
Yeah, if he leaves Penn State, he would owe the university $5 million, and the buyout
just
drops
paid.
by 1 year.
Yep.
And if he's fired without clause, Penn State owes Franklin the current year's guaranteed compensation times the remaining length of the contract. This is a guy they just hired in what was it, December? I think it was.
They just paid him, recently.
So I think he's fine simply because of the money. However, Harbaugh, he has a year left. His deal expires in 21.
Harbaugh should be
gone
done.
from the I agree,
Harbaugh is
should be gone, too.
1-6 at home versus Michigan State and Ohio State. He's 0-5 versus Ohio State all time.
A couple weeks ago,
Ohio
Michigan
State in the big game.
came into Ann Arbor as 23.5 underdogs.
Yeah, they were
and
terrible.
They lost.
Now, I want to go back, though, to James Franklin, okay? I'm going to defend James Franklin. His quarterback, Sean Clifford, sucks, okay? I loved them last year. He is terrible this year. They're on their 3rd and 4th string running back. Journey Brown is no longer there. They lost their best defensive player in Micah Parsons, decided to opt out of the season. That roster, there's nothing. There's nothing on this Penn State roster.
I don't
They
care.
got nothing. They have no talent anywhere on this roster. Other than
no talent.
Other
They
than
have
Pat
a 5-star and they have
Other than Pat Fryermuth, they got nothing.
They have a 5-star and 47 4-stars. You're telling me they
Out
have
of
no talent?
time.
No, just Pat Fryermuth.
Franklin gone.
Yeah, we are out of time on this, but now we are transitioning to basketball. The NBA draft is tonight. Which player deserves to go number 1? Austin, who is your pick?
Well, he's not going to go number 1 overall, but I think he should. Obi Toppin from Dayton. Now, look, he was named the Naismith College Basketball Player of the Year as a sophomore. He comes back, scores 20 points a game. He had 7.5 rebounds a game as well. If Dayton was in the NCAA tournament, if there was March Madness, people would have seen how spectacular of a player this is and how dynamic he is as a stretch forward. He can shoot, he can rebound, he is physical, he can literally do it all. He reminds me of like a Durant slasher. Now, obviously, he doesn't shoot as well as Durant, but the body type and the way that he can move, he is a fantastic athletic
Toppin
player.
deserves to, but I think it's going to be Anthony Edwards.
I agree.
Anthony Edwards out of Georgia.
Well.
However, I heard Minnesota wants to trade down, so it'll be interesting to see how that happens. If they haven't found any takers yet.
Do you think LaMelo Ball could go number 1 over? I would not take any of the Ball family number 1 over.
I don't think so because I think based on how Minnesota's laid out right now, I think Edwards will fit in really well there with Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, I think
on that really nice 3.
I think Edwards is a safe choice. I mean, coming out as a freshman, 19.1 points per game last year with Georgia. He's a guy that can shoot the 3. He's explosive as well, can get to attack the rim. He can be a really good fit for the Timberwolves and potentially, changing this team.
And I think going number 2 overall to the Golden State Warriors will be James Wiseman, the center from Memphis that didn't play because of eligibility rules, but imagine him with Steph and Clay. It's going to be talent everywhere.
Some disappointing news. The Ivy League canceled winter sports and March Madness will be played entirely at Indianapolis. Are you worried about the college basketballs this season? John, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not only college basketball, but entirety of sports, because obviously in college hockey, RIT was able to, they originally announced they're canceled, now they're coming back. And I think you're going to see a lot of this. Our Ivy League, as Sam said, are completely canceled. So it's going to be a ebb and flow sort of year. You'll see games being canceled, games coming back. It's going to be a very interesting season this year.
Yeah, I think in terms of the longevity of the season, it could be in jeopardy because you look especially at men's basketball and women's basketball. Both teams are somewhat smaller in terms of personnel, only carrying around 12 players. And if one person gets sick with the virus, things go downhill from there. They cancel games. They're canceling practices week by week basis.
It doesn't even have to be a player if,
Exactly, coaches as well.
A coach gets it, or even a trainer.
And you've seen colleges struggle more than the pros have. Maybe
colleges really don't have the affordability of doing a bubble.
There's a lot of different aspects that factor into it, but I think that somehow, some way, they're going to find a way to play just because the season last year was cut short. March Madness, all that money was lost. Exactly. These colleges and organizations got to find a way to make this cash back. And whether it's shuffling games around to where maybe you won't have a game 1 week or for 2 weeks, but maybe you block off. Maybe you have to play back-to-backs, doubleheaders. Who knows what you got to do? But to make the almighty dollar, college basketball is just going to somehow find a way. At least I think so.
Now on to Robert Morris Sports. RMU men's basketball starts next week. Which player is the most critical to their success? Austin, who do you think?
Well, he was formerly the sixth man, and now he is the man for Robert Morris men's basketball. A.J. Brahma, the senior forward. I don't think there's really any doubt that.
No, I think it's going to be Brahma all the way.
The offense revolves around him. He is the guy that, he made the team just click, I feel. Once he stepped in from going from off the bench to in the starting lineup, joining Josh Williams and joining Dante Tracy, now with John Williams also factoring into the equation. I think that Brahma is just his talent level, and for a team that shoots a significant amount of threes, he provides the team with a nice stretch forward option.
Nice inside presence.
Nice inside presence again. Accumulate a lot of rebounds.
Josh Williams. Josh Williams, 13.6 points a game. A.J. Brahma, second at 13.2 or 13.4, excuse me. So I think A.J. Brahma is going to be able to set in, Horizon League, bit tougher competition, you might say. I mean, you should probably say because compared to the NEC. But I think Brahma is going to take that next step up his senior season. Who knows? He might get some looks from some professional teams, whether it be over in Europe or G League. You never know.
Brahma and Dante Tracy are sort of the consensus guys to be, your leaders and your MVPs of this team. But if there's a guy that I think really needs to step up and have a tremendous season, it's Charles Bain, being a center forward type guy. With Giannis Mendy, departing from the team. This guy, he can shoot the 3-ball, but also he's big time down in the paint, rebounding. He's a guy you have to look out for this season for the men's basketball team.
It's going to be interesting.
And now for RMU hockey. Both men's and women's teams are set to begin play. Which team is going to be better? Nate, what do you think?
I think both teams could have a solid year. Women's hockey always tends to have that, just overall awesome years. Especially last year, they went to the CHA championship, but lost to Mercyhurst 2-1 in overtime. But the team that I think is going to have the better year is men's hockey. I just think overall,
Really?
last year, they didn't play so well, but I think this year they're going to take a step up.
They lost their starting goalie. They lost Justin Campbell.
Yeah, well, Dylan Lubesmeyer and Reed Cooper are my two guys to watch for this team. I think the tandem there, they're going to really step up. And with the goal scoring that's brought in the freshman class, I think this team can take a step forward, and Scully's going to coach this team into the right direction.
See, I'm going women's hockey.
Yeah,
sure, they lost J.C. Gebhard, the all-time points keeper,
Right.
but they keep Michaela Boyle, 30 points. Lexi Templeman, 43 points. Emily Curlett on the defensive side, 39 points. And freshman goalie Reagan Kirk, who had a 209 save, or 209 goals against, 924 save percentage. These aren't numbers that you can be replaced with a freshman group, albeit Randy Hernandez had a great year last year in the AJHO with Brooks. However, I think it's going to be women's hockey who's going to have the much better season this year.
I agree. Just a strong defensive team and being able to find that offensive success that, sometimes was a little lacking is going to be the key. But I just think, CHA a little, not as great competition as the AHA, I'd say.
It's not really that. It's more, CHA is more top-heavy because you really have Syracuse, Mercyhurst, and RMU. Well, you have like 5 teams above RMU usually in the Atlantic hockey.
Yeah, women's hockey, hopefully everybody gets on the ice this year. I think they're going to be better than men's hockey.
And finally, RMU football. Their schedule was released. How will they do in just a 5-game season? John, let's go to you.
Well, it doesn't look good. I can say that much. Obviously, they've made huge improvements over their first couple years with Bernard Clark. However, in the 5 games, they play James Madison, who is an FCS powerhouse. Sure, they lost Ben DiNucci, currently backing up for the Cowboys.
Didn't James Madison score 73 points the last time they played the Colonos?
They beat them 73-7 in 2018. And then the two of the other losses of the 5 games that I see, Monmouth, who went 11-3 last year, and then Kennesaw State, who also went 11-3. Kennesaw State, they almost beat the MAC. They almost beat Kent State in the MAC. They lost 26-23 in overtime last year, and lost to number 3 Weber State in the FCS second round.
So what do you have them going then, John?
I have them going 2-3. I think they win against Charleston Southern.
They are going to dominate against Gardner-Webb at home.
That's my only
one. Going to happen.
Gardner-Webb. They also lost their leading rusher in Jalen Cagle, who had 930 yards, 8 touchdowns last year. That's someone that's not on the team anymore. That's someone that Army doesn't have to focus on.
I think a surprising road victory against Charleston Southern. I think Bernard Clark's going to get his team up for that game. And do not be surprised if they pull a random, wild, upset victory against Kennesaw State. Even Monmouth at being at home. Because I think home games, the comfortability of being at home during the pandemic this year could play a factor into that.
It's a bit different, but Monmouth is the only one of those teams that RMU have played. Haven't played since 2014 though. Lost 51-20.
I just don't see this team getting any better. 1-4 is the record for them.
After the break, we'll finish with final takes from Nate, John, and Austin. Stay with us here at Sports Talk in the Burgh.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? And now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Jason, Let's go see your room.
That's not right. How was it? Is it good?
Things could be stranger, but I don't know how. I'm going through changes now. Could spend a lifetime trying to figure it out. I'm going through changes, through all of the strangeness. I'm going through changes now.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Before we go, it is time for final takes. Nate, we're starting with you tonight.
Well, with a lot of talk regarding college basketball this show, including the NBA draft tonight and the RMU men's basketball team, there's another team in the local area that has not received too much love so far, and that is the Pitt men's basketball team. Once a great program under Jamie Dixon, the Panthers have suffered over the past few years, especially during the Kevin Stallings era, where the team went an abysmal 4-32 in ACC play. In their third year under current head coach Jeff Capel, this program is ready to take the next step this season. The team is quite intriguing with the likes of Xavier Johnson and Justin Champagny leading the way. And the Panthers have brought in 5 freshmen, including 2 4-stars, with a big commitment from 6'7" forward William Jeffress. This team has a long way to go to regaining national attention, but this season will begin their progress as they will find themselves within the top 25 this season and make the NCAA tournament this season. And Jeff Capel and the Panthers will be back.
Well, with it being the holiday season, I figure it's time to shine some light on the best fan base in the National Football League. While it might seem like a homer pick, being a member of the fan base, the Bills Mafia is the best fan base in the NFL. Not only are they diehard fans dealing with the snow and wind of upstate New York, but also the pain of 4 straight Super Bowl losses, a 17-year playoff drought, etc. And despite jumping through tables and the drunken acts of stupidity that us Bills fans thrive on, where Bills fans shine above all else is on their charitable side. Last week, for example, over $600,000 was raised for Oshai Children's Hospital in Buffalo in honor of quarterback Josh Allen's late grandmother. But before that, Bills fans raised more than $415,000 for former Bengals quarterback Andy Dalton after he helped lead Cincinnati to a win over the Ravens, resulting in the Bills headed to the playoffs for the first time in my lifetime. Also, Bills Mafia raised $7,000 towards the Alzheimer Association after Baltimore radio shock jock Jerry Coleman called the Queen City the, quote, city of losers, unquote. And they raised $14,000 to Nashville Children's Alliance after the Titans reportedly cheated on an online voting contest on Twitter. And after former QB Ryan Fitzpatrick's mom died, Concussion Legacy Foundation, which Fitzpatrick has ties to, had traced approximately $5,000 in donations to Bills Mafia. So there's no doubt in my mind whether in the stadium or via donations, Bills Mafia are among the most, charitable fan base in the NFL.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. The semester is winding down. Thanksgiving and Christmas are right around the corner, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are 9-0. Quarterback Ben Roethlisberger has found the fountain of youth and is playing outstanding football since suffering a season-ending elbow injury Week 2 versus the Seattle Seahawks last season. As Coach Mike Tomlin put it, quote, "The only perfect thing about our team is our record." He may not be satisfied with the way his team has gotten it done these past 10 weeks, but the league has once again been put on notice, with the defense leading the league in takeaways and sacks, recording a sack in 66 consecutive games. A season like this may never be seen again in the city of Pittsburgh, at least with Roethlisberger at the helm. Ben has led the Steelers to the best start in team history in his 17th NFL season. The organization continues to find wide receivers with futures as bright as the star on top of a Christmas tree. Embrace the Steelers season for as successful as it is, and don't ever think of discrediting it as the worst 9-0 team that the league has ever seen. How many teams have ever started this season 9-0 before? If this is the last championship ride with Big Ben, take it all in and enjoy the ride. He sure is familiar with Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, and if number 7 is going to climb the city of Pittsburgh up the stairway to 7 to earn the franchise's 7th ever Super Bowl championship, the Steelers' comeback player of the year and team MVP deserves the rightful honor of being crowned league MVP for the first time as well.
Well, while I disagree that comeback player of the year, I think it should be Alex Smith. I think there's something more important we have to do right now.
We do. We have to thank our producer, Nick Hederick, for his time that he has put into the show, producing Sports Talk in the Burgh. We just want to thank him so much.
Yeah, he's done a great job, not only coming up with the topics, but, you know, it's just great. He's been a great friend, great mentor to, I know you two are both sophomores now.
Big friend and mentor.
Great mentor to you guys. Can't say enough that he's done.
He is our boss and leader, and we want to thank him.
Yeah.
So for John Hanna and Nate Breisinger, I'm Austin Bechtel. We will see you next semester on Sports Talk in the Burgh. And Sam Dutch. Sports Talk in the Burgh.